Have you ever noticed how we're always kind of obsessed with trying to figure out what's coming next?
Yeah, definitely.
Like everyone wants a sneak peek behind the curtain of time, right?
It's like a universal human thing, you know?
Exactly. And that's what makes today's deep dive so fascinating.
Oh, totally.
We're going to be exploring the Bhavishya Purana.
Ooh, okay. The Bhavishya Purana.
Yeah, have you ever come across this one before?
I have, and what always strikes me right off the bat is the name itself, Bhavishya. It
Right.
literally means the future.
Oh, wow.
So you've got the other 18 Mahapuranas that are mostly delving into mythology and the past.
Mm-hmm.
But this one's all about what lies ahead.
Interesting.
It's a really unique perspective within this whole collection of ancient texts.
So instead of just looking in the rearview mirror,
Yeah,
it's like we're gazing through the windshield.
exactly.
And the way it's structured is interesting, too.
Oh, how so?
Oh, it's broken down into 4 main sections.
Okay.
You've got the Brahma Parva, which deals with creation. Then there's the Matyarma Parva, focused on genealogies and societal structures.
Okay.
And then things get really interesting with the Pratisarga Parva.
Oh, yeah, that's one everyone's always talking about.
It's where the Bhavishya Puran gets super future-oriented with accounts of world recreation and a whole bunch of predictions.
Right.
And lastly, there's the Uttara Parva.
I'd say for anyone listening, the Pratisarga Parva is probably where the real intrigue is.
Oh, yeah, totally.
That's where you find a lot of the most talked about and just kind of mind-blowing material.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So our mission in this deep dive isn't just to kind of gawk at these ancient predictions,
No.
but to really dig into the deeper ideas about time consciousness
Right.
and to see if these ancient viewpoints can give you a fresh perspective on the present.
I love that. Okay, so how about we start with time?
Okay.
Because these ancient thinkers had this really fascinating cyclical view of time.
Yeah, it's so different from how we tend to think about time.
It is, the Bhavishya Purana introduces this huge concept of yugas, the Satyatridadupara and Kali yugas.
Those names sound so mystical.
They do, right? It's almost like envisioning these vast cosmic ages, each with its own distinct character and duration.
So rather than just seeing time as this linear progression, the Bhavishya Puran presents these enormous repeating cycles.
Exactly like the universe is inhaling and exhaling.
I like that imagery.
And at the end of each of these massive cycles, there's a period of dissolution before everything starts anew.
Wow, that's a pretty intense reset button.
It is, but here's where it gets really interesting for us today.
Okay.
The Bhavishya Purana suggests that this cyclical pattern isn't just happening out there in the cosmos. It's reflected in our own collective consciousness, too.
Really?
It talks about a golden age of purity in the Satya Yuga.
Okay.
And then there's this gradual decline in virtue and understanding as we move through the Treta and Dwapara Yugas.
Makes sense.
And that leads us to the Kali Yuga, the age we're in now, which is characterized by a lot of confusion and sometimes a feeling of darkness.
It definitely feels relevant, doesn't it?
It does. But here's a bit of good news.
Oh, good.
It's not all downhill from here. The text says that even within this Kali Yuga, there's potential for an inner reversal.
So it's not just like a one-way street towards decline.
Nope, not at all. By aligning yourself with Dharma, you can actually start to shift your inner state.
Okay, and when we say dharma, what exactly do we mean?
It's more than just being good.
Okay.
It's about righteousness, duty, and living in alignment with a kind of cosmic order.
A cosmic order. I like that.
If we connect this to the bigger picture practices like mindfulness that are so popular today, can actually be seen as a way of returning to that inner satya, that state of truth and clarity, even when there are external challenges.
So it's almost like tapping into that original purity of the Satya Yuga.
Exactly. And the Purana suggests that this inner alignment can have a ripple effect on the outer world.
So my actions can actually influence the collective.
That's the idea. It's a powerful concept.
It is. Okay, so we've talked about the cyclical view of time. But what about those specific predictions that people always find so intriguing?
Oh, right. Let's dive into some of the stories and predictions in the Bhavishya Purana.
Okay.
I think what's really amazing is just the sheer scope of what this text covers.
Yeah, it touches on so much.
One of the most talked about predictions is the reference to Lord Jesus Christ.
Really?
It describes him as a saintly figure coming from the West.
That's fascinating.
It really is. Now, it's important to mention that there's a lot of debate among scholars about the authenticity and the exact dating of this particular section.
Makes sense.
But regardless, it presents this really intriguing point of intersection between Eastern and Western spiritual traditions.
It definitely gets you thinking about the connections.
It does. And the predictions don't stop there.
Oh, there's more.
There are prophecies related to the Prophet Muhammad, too.
Wow.
And some interpretations even see hints of the British colonization of India, modern warfare, and major social upheavals.
It's almost like looking at historical events through this ancient lens.
Exactly. Trying to see if there are echoes of these prophecies in what's already happened.
Do you think it's possible to accurately interpret these predictions? Or is it all just subjective?
I think it's essential to approach these interpretations with a critical mind
Mm.
and acknowledge that there's always room for different perspectives.
Yeah.
But the overall feeling you get is that the authors of the Bhavishya Purana were genuinely trying to understand where the future was headed based on their knowledge of these grand cosmic and human cycles.
It's more about the underlying patterns and principles.
Exactly.
Okay, so we can't forget about the grand finale of the Kali Yuga, the prophecy of Kalki.
Oh yes, Kalki, this is a big one.
Tell us about this figure.
So Kalki is depicted as this final avatar, the one who shows up at the very end of the Kali Yuga to wipe out darkness and adharma.
What exactly is Adharma?
Adharma basically means anything that goes against dharma. It's like a cosmic imbalance, a disruption of the natural order.
I see.
And the imagery they use is so powerful.
How so?
Kalki is riding a white horse, wielding this blazing sword of cosmic fire.
Wow, that's intense.
It's a prophecy for a time when corruption has taken over the world and the principles of righteousness have pretty much vanished.
So it's this dramatic resolution to a long period of decline.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier that these prophecies can also have an inner meaning.
I did.
Could you talk more about that for our listener?
It's definitely.
Okay.
You know, when we shift our focus inward, these figures and events can actually symbolize things within our own minds.
Interesting.
For example, the Kalki within.
Okay.
We could interpret that as the awakening of our own inner strength and wisdom,
Mm.
which helps us overcome negative tendencies like greed, anger, and ignorance.
Like our own inner demons.
Exactly. So it's not about passively waiting for some external savior.
Yeah.
It's about actively cultivating that transformative power within ourselves.
I love that perspective.
It's empowering.
It is. And the Bhavishya Purana actually offers some guidance on how to do that.
Oh, that's great. It emphasizes practices like meditation to quiet the mind and gain clarity.
That makes sense.
And it talks about purifying the nadis.
Nadis.
Yeah, think of them as subtle energy channels in the body.
Almost like our circulatory system, but for energy.
Exactly. And there's also the awakening of Kundalini energy.
Kundalini, I've heard of that.
It's often described as this dormant spiritual energy waiting to be activated.
It's like unlocking a hidden power source.
Yeah, and these are presented as ways to achieve inner healing and greater awareness.
That's so cool. And you know what else is really forward-thinking?
What's that?
The Bhavishya Purana actually touches on future forms of medicine.
Really? For an ancient text, that's pretty wild.
It is. What's fascinating is the idea of healing through vibration, mantra, and light.
So it's not just about physical interventions.
No, it goes beyond that. It aligns with some emerging areas of research today that are looking into how sound frequencies and subtle energies impact our well-being.
So the Bhavishya Purana was ahead of its time in that sense.
For sure. So for someone listening who's maybe feeling stressed out by modern life, why should they care about these ancient prophecies?
Yeah, what's the connection to their everyday experiences?
That's a really important question. You know, in a world that often feels so overwhelming, full of stress, anxiety, and disconnection, texts like the Bhavishya Purana offer this timeless guide back to a sense of inner balance.
Like a roadmap for navigating chaos.
Exactly. They remind us that even with all the external chaos, there are these fundamental principles of well-being that remain constant.
And the idea that the future isn't set in stone, that our choices in the present can shape what unfolds.
Yeah.
That's pretty empowering for the listener, isn't it?
It really is. It makes you an active participant in creating your own reality.
So it's not just about observing potential future events.
No.
It's about being engaged in the present moment.
Precisely. And speaking of the present moment, you mentioned a practical tool from the Purana that listeners can try.
I did. It's called Chikala Smaran.
Chikala Smaran.
Yeah, it's all about bringing awareness to the past, present, and future.
It sounds simple but powerful.
It is. Would you mind guiding our listeners through a brief visualization?
Sure, let's do that.
Okay.
So find a comfortable posture. If you feel comfortable, gently close your eyes and take a slow, deep breath in.
Okay. Breathing in.
As you inhale, picture wise sages and enlightened beings from the past.
Okay.
Imagine their wisdom and blessings flowing towards you, supporting you on your journey.
Visualizing that.
Now exhale slowly, releasing any tension. Feel yourself grounded in this present moment, connected to the here and now.
Feeling grounded.
Take another deep inhale.
Breathing in again.
And as you breathe in this time, start to envision your future self.
Okay.
A version of you that's full of well-being, awakened to your potential, and radiating a sense of wholeness.
I love that.
See that radiant future self clearly in your mind's eye.
That's a beautiful practice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It connects to your own personal journey, your unique potential.
And in a way, with each conscious action you take, you're contributing to your own personal prophecy.
Exactly. It's about aligning yourself with your highest aspirations and embodying those qualities right now.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
it's clear that the Bhavishya Purana is so much more than just an ancient book of predictions.
It really is.
It's a guide filled with insights into time consciousness and our potential for inner transformation.
It's amazing how these ancient understandings are still so relevant today.
Yeah, they offer valuable perspectives on the challenges and opportunities we face in the modern world.
And they encourage us to think deeply about ourselves and our place in these vast cosmic cycles.
We encourage you to keep exploring these ideas
Yes.
and reflect on how they might resonate with your own life.
I'd like to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
How might this cyclical view of time and consciousness, as presented in the Bhavishya Purana, offer a new, maybe even more hopeful way of looking at both the current global landscape and your own path of growth?
It's definitely something worth pondering.
It is.
Well, that was an incredible journey through the Bhavishya
It
Purana.
really was.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking.